Hey there, students. Happy Monday. I thought that I would usher in the new week with another story, and so today I'm going to be reading from Irish Fairy and Folk Tales again. And the story we've got today is Far Darrig in Donegal by Miss Letitia McClintock. So without further ado, I'm going to begin. Pat Diver, the tinker, was a man well accustomed to a wandering life and to strange shelters. He had shared the beggar's blanket in smoky cabins. He had crouched beside the still in many a nook and corner, where poteen was made on the wild Inishowen mountains. He had even slept on the bare heather or on the ditch, with no roof over him but the vault of heaven. Yet were all his nights of adventure tame and commonplace when compared with one especial night. During the day preceding that night, he had mended all the kettles and saucepans in Moville and Greencastle, and was on his way to Culdaff, when night overtook him on a lonely mountain road. He knocked at one door after another, asking for a night's lodging, while he jingled the halfpence in his pocket, but was everywhere refused. Where he was boasted hospitality of Inishowen, where was the boasted hospitality of Inishowen, which he had never before known to fail. It was of no use to be able to pay when the people seemed so churlish. Thus thinking, he made his way toward a light a little further on, and knocked at another cabin door. An old man and woman were seated one at each side of the fire. "Will you be pleased to give me a night's lodging, sir?" asked Pat respectfully. "Can you tell a story?" returned the old man. "No, then, sir, I canna say I'm good at storytelling," replied the puzzled tinker. "Then you mun just gang further, for none but them that can tell a story will get in here." This reply was made in so decided a tone that Pat did not attempt to repeat his appeal. He turned away reluctantly to resume his weary journey. "A story indeed," muttered he. "Auld wives' fables, to please the weans." As he took up his bundle of tinkering implements, he observed a barn, standing rather behind the dwelling-house, and, aided by the rising moon, he made his way towards it. It was a clean and roomy barn, with a piled-up heap of straw in one corner. Here was a shelter not to be despised, so Pat crept under the straw and was soon asleep. He could not have slept very long when he was awakened by the tramp of feet, and, peeping cautiously through a crevice in his straw covering, he saw 4 immensely tall men enter the barn, dragging a body, which they threw roughly upon the floor. They next lighted a fire in the middle of the barn, and fastened the corpse by the feet with a great rope to a beam in the roof. One of them began to turn it slowly before the fire. "Come on," said he, addressing a gigantic fellow, the tallest of the 4. "I'm tired. You be to tak your turn." "Fikes and troth, I'll no turn him," replied the big man. "There's Pat Diver, in under the straw. Why wouldn't he take his turn?" With hideous clamor, the 4 men called the wretched Pat, who, seeing there was no escape, thought it was his wisest plan to come forth as he was bidden. "Now, Pat," they said, "you'll turn the corpse, but if you let him burn, you'll be tied up there and roasted in his place." Pat's hair stood on end, and the cold perspiration poured from his forehead, but there was nothing for it but to perform his dreadful task. Seeing him fairly embarked in it, the tall men went away. Soon, however, the flames rose so high as to singe the rope, and the corpse fell with a great thud upon the fire, scattering the ashes and embers, and extracting a howl of anguish from the miserable cook, who rushed to the door and ran for his life. He ran on until he was ready to drop with fatigue, when, seeing a drain overgrown with tall, rank grass, he thought he would creep in there, and lie hidden until morning. But he was not many minutes in the drain before he heard the heavy tramping again, and the 4 men came up with their burthen, which they laid down on the edge of the drain. "I'm tired," said one to the giant. "It's your turn to carry him a piece now." Faix and troth I'll no carry him, replied he. But there's Pat Driver in the drain. Why wouldn't he come out and take his turn? Come out, Pat, come out, roared all the men, and Pat, almost dead with fright, crept out. He staggered on under the weight of the corpse until he reached Kiltown Abbey, a ruin festooned with ivy, where the brown owl hooted all night long, and the forgotten dead slept around the walls under dense, matted tangles of brambles and benweed. No one ever buried there now, but Pat's tall companions turned into the wild graveyard and began digging a grave. Pat, seeing them thus engaged, thought he might once more try to escape, and climbed up into a hawthorn tree in the fence, hoping to be hidden in the boughs. I'm tired, said the man who was digging the grave. Here, take this spade, addressing the big man. It's your turn. Faix and troth, it's no my turn, replied he. As before, there's Pat Diver in the tree. Why wouldn't he come down and take his turn? Pat came down to take the spade, but just then the cocks in the little farmyard and cabins around the abbey began to crow, and the men looked at one another. We must go, said they, and well is it for you, Pat Diver, for the cocks crowed, for if they had not, you'd just have been bundled into that grave with the corpse. 2 months passed, and Pat had wandered far and wide over the country Donegal, when he chanced to arrive at Raphoe during a fair. Among the crowd that filled the diamond, he came suddenly on the big man. How are you, Pat Diver? Said he, bending down to look into the tinker's face. You've the advantage of me, sir, for I haven't the pleasure of knowing you, faltered Pat. Do you not know me? Whisper. When you go back to Inishtown, you'll have a story to tell. And so concludes that tale. That was a fun one. I didn't know what to expect, because I rarely ever do from the Irish folk tales. However, the fact that it was just the good folk, or fairy people, essentially just messing with Pat in order to give him a story to tell so that he could go get lodging the next time he goes to Inishtown, I thought was a fun little bit of bringing it all around to where it was supposed to be. But anyways, that's going to do it for the day, students. I'll probably have some more stories going up as the week progresses. Once again, happy Monday. Stay happy, stay healthy, and stay in the pursuit of knowledge. Okay, bye-bye.